It's always a new year to your boy. Every day's a new year. Every day is Christmas. Every day. All right, so we live now. First live of the new year, depending on your beliefs. Depending on your beliefs. All right. So the title of today's discussion is "You are not waking up to the world. You are." And the quote that we are going to talk about is this, because oftentimes we will talk about fate, destiny. Okay, so this is the quote that we're gonna break down. It says, "Calling something fate does not make it sacred. It often just makes it unchallenged." Okay, we've often just accepted it. Oh, I'm just destined. Oh, women are like this. Oh, men are like this. Oh, spare me, the pity party. All right. So we're going to talk about how we keep ourselves trapped with our own stories. All right, here we go. Most people think awakening is about discovering what is wrong with the world. They wake up and suddenly see systems, manipulation, control, corruption, scarcity, broken markets, impossible economies, unavailable partners, bad genetics, bad timing. And for a brief moment, that stage is unavoidable, right? As we begin to wake up, that's a part of the whole journey that is absolutely unavoidable. It's waking up to begin to see things for what they are. Like, oh shit, the food's poison. Oh shit, this is happening. Oh shit, this, right? It's unavoidable, okay? But if you stay there, you have not awakened. You've simply upgraded the ego's vocabulary. The deeper realization, what is the deeper realization? The one that actually changes your life is this. You're never waking up to the world. You're waking up to yourself. All right. So yes, all of these things could play a role in the programming, in the conditioning of your mind, right? In the poisoning of your body. All of these things can play a role in that conditioning. However, the greater realization is that at what point am I going to really assume authorship of my life? Am I going to walk into the truth of, no, I am source. Okay? And if I am source, then nothing outside of me can be source. There's only one source. There's only one. All right? So every system you fight, every condition you curse, thought it was about to spill over. Every system you fight, every condition you curse, every person you blame, every external explanation you cling to is not proof of awareness. It is proof that the awakening has stalled. Right? When we just give the ego some better explanations, a better story. Right? Now it has something different to cling on to. How many times do we see, spiritual leaders and they will get up there and they'll start going, they'll start waking you up, but then all of a sudden they get stopped, they get stuck. And all of a sudden they are in this place of oppression where they talk about this group is after me. This group is condemning me. This people is keeping me down, right? And then what naturally happens as an evolution to them speaking that truth or accepting that as truth is that manifests in their life, unfortunately. Unfortunately, that manifests in their life. So oftentimes we can start studying our story. That's why I always tell y'all, right? Like, pull out your phone, pull out your camera, pull out your video, start telling yourself, what is your story? Where do you feel stuck? And now listen back through that story. Start to say, does this seem like someone who is being sovereign, someone who knows that they're God? And we can often find within our stories that the places that we're stuck, it's right there within the story. It's right there within the story. All right. So we don't want to get stalled on the journey and turn into a victim of circumstance. Whether that circumstance is food, whether that circumstance is church, whether that circumstance is, as a lot of people say it in these discussions that we have, an old law of assumption or law of attraction community, right? Is that all of a sudden that becomes the crutch. We get stuck right here. And that becomes the thing that we constantly go back to. Well, what about this? Well, that thing stopped me. Well, that thing is hard for me to get over. Is it? Or do you simply just need to decide that right now it's all working out for you no matter what? Okay, so here we go. The moment you wake up, responsibility shifts. And most people quietly step backward at that point. All right. So now next, let's talk about missing the mark. Okay, missing the mark. The real meaning of sin, right? So in the original Greek, the word translated as sin is hamartia. Hamartia. Okay? It does not mean moral failure. It does not mean being bad or unworthy or condemned. It means to miss the mark, right? So we're going to talk about that word in a second, right? But it means it means not falling short because you're incapable, but because you aimed at the wrong target, right? Missing the mark. You aimed at the wrong target, all right? So Romans 3:23. This is the scripture we're going to break down. The first scripture of the day is Romans 3:23. For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Now, when we take this in the literalist translation, we think that sinning means what? Whatever moral code that the church has given us. That's what we believe sinning is. Okay? But what is this saying, right? For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. So let's break it down, all right? So the word translated as sin in this verse is hamartia, okay? It's a Greek term borrowed from archery. It's a Greek term borrowed from archery, meaning to miss the mark. It was never meant to imply inherent corruption or moral failure, but misalignment, aiming at the wrong target. Okay? In other words, humanity's issue isn't wickedness. Humanity's issue has never been wickedness, right? That fall was not a fall into wickedness. It was a falling into forgetfulness. That's all it was, all right? It's misdirection. We aim our identity, our power, and our sense of life toward appearances, circumstances, and external authority, and then wonder why we feel separate from the glory of God. Boom. That's what we're talking about here. When we take a metaphysical look at this scripture, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, it is not an excuse for you to walk around and call yourself a sinner. What is this saying? When we aim our identity, power, and sense of life toward what? Circumstances. Well, it looks like this. Appearances, feelings, thoughts. When we aim at the wrong thing, we wonder why we feel separate from the glory of God. That is the quote unquote falling short. For all have sinned and fall short. The missing the mark. This is what this Romans 3:23 means. Okay. So the falling short is it's not a sentence, like a death sentence, right? It's not a condemnation. It's simply a description of consciousness that has forgotten its center. It makes a little bit more sense, right? It makes sense in terms of consciousness. All right. So the glory of God is not a reward withheld until perfection is achieved. If we think about this from the literalist perspective, right? Of course, we're going to go down this spiritual journey. It's going to turn into this competition, this climbing the ladder of righteousness. Okay. But the glory of God is not a reward withheld until perfection is achieved. It's the what? The lived expression of divine authority, presence, and awareness here and now. Here and now. To miss the mark is to identify as the arrow instead of the archer. To identify as the arrow instead of the archer. So instead of us knowing that we are the source, we believe that we are just being flung through circumstances. All right? Well, the economy, that's the source. And me here, I'm just being flung around by it. That specific person, they're the source, and I'm just being flung around. And when they show up right, boom, that's my fulfillment. That's when I meet God. You know what I'm saying? I trust that you do. All right. So to miss the mark is to identify as the arrow instead of the archer. To mistake conditions for causes. I am the cause. I am the cause. You are the cause. That circumstance is not. That circumstance is a manifestation. It's old news by now. You've seen it. It's old news now. Okay? It is to outsource authorship to the world. To outsource authorship to the world. When awareness turns back towards its true aim, identity aligned with source, hamartia dissolves. Hamartia dissolves, all right? The mark was never distant. It was obscured by where attention was placed. So we miss the mark with misplaced attention, misplaced awareness. Instead of me putting my awareness on what? The truth, that I am source. I am the truth. I am the way. I am the life. You are the truth. You are the way. You are the life. Instead of you putting your attention, your awareness here, what do? Is we misplace our attention and our awareness, and we put it on the external. We put it on the circumstance, on that specific person, on the money, on the economy, on the politics, on things out there. And then we wonder why we feel separate from God. That is what this means. But now I can simply return to that truth, and I can allow the glory of God to express itself through me, or through this physical vessel. Okay? Just to call back to truth. That's all it is. It's calling you back to truth. Calling you back to truth. Gently, right? Kindly. Calling you back to truth, right? So the glory of God is not heaven later. It is authority and identity now. Remember, right? Any time that we believe that salvation is later, okay? That's not salvation. Salvation is not later. Now is the time of salvation. Now is the time of salvation. So when I come back to this present moment, I realize, no, I am source, and I get to decide who I am, no matter what the circumstance looks like. Now I am the walking expression of the glory of God. All right. So to miss the mark is to aim at circumstances instead of consciousness. It is to argue with appearances instead of standing in authorship. Every time you say, this is happening because the market is bad. This is happening because they left. This is happening because of my past. This is happening because of the economy. You are not observing reality. You are surrendering authorship. That is missing the mark. Okay, that is missing the mark. So hopefully this gives a more clear picture of when we go into scripture and we talk about sin or missing the mark. Hamartia, right? When we talk about all of this, hopefully this gives you a better picture of what we mean when we say sinning or righteousness. Remember, righteousness means what? It means knowing that goal and seeing through the illusion. It is what it is out there, but I am that I am. Okay? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, so next part. You always have the final say. I don't care if the SP blocked you. I don't care what the money looks like. I do not care. I don't. Do not care. You have the final say. I don't care what the situation looks like. You have the final say no matter what. All right. So someone tells you there are no jobs. Someone tells you money is tight. Someone tells you the market is terrible. Someone tells you love is scarce. The men these days, the women these days. Someone tells you healing takes years. Here is the uncomfortable truth, right? None of those statements have power until you accept them. None of them. None of them have power until you accept them. Now, Joshua 24:15, second verse of the day. Second verse of the day, Joshua 24:15. Choose this day whom you will serve. Now, to the literalist, what does this sound like? It sounds like, false idols. I either choose to worship God or I choose to worship a golden calf. Right? God or, some statue. Okay. But we're going to talk about this. Okay. So this isn't, when we talk about this in this perspective, right? Choose this day whom you will serve. It's not a moral ultimatum, right? It's an ontological one, right? Ontological meaning it deals with beingness. Okay. With beingness, with what is right now. Who are you right now? So when we're talking about ontological, we're talking about what is it right now? Who are you right now? Okay. So it's not asking who you worship with words, but who you obey with identity. Does your identity obey the external circumstances, or does your identity obey the truth of who you are? Okay. To serve is to give authority, attention, and agreement. Okay, let's hear this part. Okay, hear this part, especially if you are, I know sometimes these things can get heavy. You might blank out a little bit with it and be wondering about how I can get my SP back. But hear this part, okay? To serve is to give authority, attention, and agreement. All right, cool. So when we're talking about choose who you will serve, who, right? What version of you are you going to give your authority, attention, and agreement? All right, cool. Every day, often unconsciously, you decide whether circumstances rule you or consciousness does. Every day, often unconsciously, you decide whether circumstances rule you or consciousness does. Fear or faith. Reaction or authorship. Okay? So the verse, what we're talking about in this verse, right? Choose this day whom you will serve. Choose this day whom you will serve, right? It's taking away that sentimental spirituality. Feel better about it, all of that shit, right? It's just saying this is a daily decision, right? Even scripture will tell you what? Shit, I die every day. I die to that old version of me every day. I choose who I want to be every day. Every day, right? This is what it's saying. Choose this day whom you will serve. Today, make the choice. Who will you serve? Circumstances or truth? Okay? And every day, the illusion is us thinking that we don't already do this. The illusion is us walking around and trying to explain that we don't already do this. I don't know how to choose. I don't know how to do that. How do I choose? Well, you woke up this morning and you decided to put on clothes, hopefully, before you went outside, right? You chose. You looked through and you made a choice. You say, boom, that's it. That's the one. Then you put on ugly ass socks, the one with the holes, and you said, no, it's kind of cold outside. I'm finna change these socks. You made another choice. You brush your teeth. You said, no, I could brush my teeth a little bit longer, but I'm gonna stop. You made a bad choice right then. You said, I'm gonna just wash over that shitty breath with mouthwash. Okay, cool. You made another choice. Do I have time to eat breakfast? Cereal or should I cook something? Another choice. You make choices all damn day. This is just another choice. Choose your identity. Are you someone who will worship the external circumstances and say, because the market is like this, because somebody said this, I cannot have what I want. Because somebody said that, hey, Alex, I'm going to block you. Am I going to accept this as the final truth, or do I accept this as the unfolding to the truth that I desire? Do I treat the middle like the end, or do I declare the end and allow this, give this situation permission to unfold perfectly towards me? Okay? It's always me. It's always you. It's always you. It's an illusion to think that you're not choosing all day, every day already. Already you are choosing. Okay? Cool. So metaphysically, this choice is not between God and idols carved of stone, but between inner authority and external permission. Now, let's talk about this again. Inner authority and external permission. So I have a note in here, the River Jordan and to get to the promised land. It was just a talking point note. All right. So when we've talked about the River Jordan several times, but if you remember metaphysically, the River Jordan is where Jesus was baptized. Okay, Jesus was baptized in the River Jordan. Now, what does baptism represent in the metaphysical sense? Okay, the literalist thinks baptism, you dip yourself in the water and you're saved. You've accepted Jesus into your hearts, right? Well, Jesus never left. Never left. But what this actually means is you're going from to accept that you are the Christ, right? Is to what? It is to go from external authority to inner authority. Because if the Christ is within me, then what external authority is there? So now I can actually begin to walk in righteousness. So now we have these two things, right? Remember, when John the Baptist was talking about Jesus, he said, I will baptize you in water. That should already let you know that the water baptism is absolutely irrelevant. But one will come after me who will baptize you with the Holy Spirit and with fire. All right. So now the true baptism is with the Holy Spirit. We can call this the spiritual awakening, which is what we're talking about in this discussion. The quote unquote spiritual awakening. So now all of a sudden you become more aware. Oh, I'm the creator. I am the creator. Now we can get stuck along the way, right? We see things outside of us. We see systems. We see people. We see health. We see food. We see all of these things that are meant to keep us trapped, stuck. But then it also says, I will baptize you with the Holy Spirit. He will baptize you with the Holy Spirit and with water or with fire. What is the significance of fire? Fire burns through illusions. So now I've accepted that I'm the source. Now I'm walking through life and that fire is me. allowing those illusions to rise up and eliminating them. The market looks like shit. There's no jobs. Illusion. I'm the source. I have final say so. It doesn't matter. I am prosperity. The prosperity unfolds through me, not through the market. Your specific person blocked you. They told you they didn't want to spend New Year's with you. They had another person that they had in mind, right? What do you do in this situation? Do you accept this as truth, or do you burn through the illusion? Do you say, no, I am love. This person is me. There's nobody outside of me. There's no one for them to go towards, right? So now I have this constant choice where I get to burn through illusion as I walk through the world, right? As I walk through the world. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, so remember, so the River Jordan, Jesus was baptized in the River Jordan. It basically marked his walking in his inner truth from that point forward, right? What is also significant about this? Remember, the Israelites, they had to cross through the River Jordan to get to the Promised Land. The Promised Land represents righteousness, represents the inner vision being made manifest. So Egypt, where they were before, represented what? Kind of the oppression. They were under Pharaoh. They were following the external law. They were a slave to the external world. Metaphysically, I wonder what this means. They were a slave to the external world in Egypt. They were ruled by Pharaoh. All right? And so now they have to cross over through the Red Sea and then through the River Jordan to get to the Promised Land. The crossing of the River Jordan always represents the move from external authority to internal authority, which is what this journey is about. Internal authority. So really ask yourself these questions. Where am I giving authority to the external circumstances? Where am I allowing the market to dictate my prosperity? People to dictate if I am love? Where? Now, here's the thing. It's not this long, drawn out reprogramming or rewiring, because that can sound very tiring, right? I remember coming into this space and being like, oh shit, well, I have to rewire myself now so I can get to the things that I want. to have all these limiting beliefs. No. The moment that I'm aware that I've been giving my power to the external world, to the market, or to that person, the moment I'm aware of it, it's healed. It's simply a choice now. I don't have to be in that identity anymore. I make the identity change quickly, like that. No, I am love. Therefore, love is outpictured. It flows. It unfolds from me. And now all of reality then begins to rearrange to match this truth. The truth that was always present that I just forgot for a little bit. I just forgot that truth for a little blimp of time. Remember, you are infinite. You just forgot this truth for a little 20 years within infinity, but that's nothing. Now you're simply resting back into the truth, observing the illusion, right? The ego and the situation and the circumstances, and you're allowing that truth to now unfold through you. And let it spread. Let it unfold from within you and touch every corner of your life. Walk in it relentlessly. Okay? Make this your New Year's resolution. If you want to wait for the spring, you can do that too. You can wait for the spring too. Doesn't matter. Okay? So here we go. You either serve appearances, statistics, moods, memories, and collective fear, or you serve the truth of who you are beneath them. There is no neutral position. What you repeatedly submit to becomes your master. Okay? What you repeatedly submit to becomes your master. Stop pretending choice is delayed. Stop acting as if power is waiting. You are already serving something. The only question is whether you're doing it consciously. You're already serving, all of us, we're already serving truths. There is no neutral position. It's an illusion to think that it's just a neutral position. It's I am or I am not. Okay? That was good. Oh, wait. All right. Most people think this verse is about choosing God over idols. Metaphysically, it's about choosing which story gets authority. The economy does not decide for you. Statistics do not decide for you. Diagnosis do not decide for you. Other people's fear does not decide for you. You decide what is true for you. And if that sentence makes you uncomfortable, perfect. That's just accountability knocking on the door. Go on and answer the call. It's just a little bit of accountability. It won't kill you, right? Go on and open that door, answer that call, right? You can be led to the door, but you have to walk through it. You have to walk through it. All right, so the next part, why blame feels safer than power. Why blame feels safer than power. Blame is soothing, isn't it? It's their fault. It's just the market's fault. No, it's the market. It's the SP. They're in avoidance. Of course this happens to you. Blame them. No, you don't need to take accountability. Right? It's soothing. Blame is soothing. It removes responsibility. It creates community through shared victimhood. Doesn't it? Community through shared victimhood, right? Go scroll through Instagram if you're a TikTok or YouTube or whatever and find somebody bashing the opposite gender. Find somebody bashing the opposite gender and go into that comment section and look at the community of victimhood. My goodness. My goodness. Okay? It lets you be right without being free. It lets you be right without being free. It lets you be right without being free. But awakening eventually removes the comfort, right? So here's another scripture we're going to talk about. Matthew 7:3. Matthew 7:3, right? Why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not consider the plank in your own? This verse is an interesting verse. This verse is an interesting verse. Why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not consider the plank in your own? Now, at first glance, what could this sound like to the literalist? And we're decoupling ourselves from the literalist perspective. It can sound like, why are you judging someone else when you're at fault too? You're not at fault. You're not a sinner. You're not a sinner by worldly definition. So that cannot be what this means, right? It cannot mean what that cannot be. Don't judge others because you've done all these wrong things too. That's not what this means. Everybody is you first and foremost, right? The kingdom is within you. Everybody is within you. So this has to mean something different. So I'm going to read it one more time, come up with your conclusion, and then we're going to break it down. All right. So Matthew 7:3. Why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not consider the plank in your own? Let's go through it. Let's go through it. All right. So what is this about? Right? This teaching is not about moral humility. Okay. It's not about moral humility that, I've done wrong too. So who am I to judge others? Nah, that's not what it means. It's not what it means. All right. It is a revelation about perception. Perception? What do you mean, Alex? The speck you see in another is never the real problem. The fault you see in another is never the real problem. What is the problem? It is a projection made visible by an unexamined identity. Some of y'all about to go too far with this and be like, well, what about this? What about that? Listen, sit down and listen, okay? The speck you see in another is never the real problem. It is a projection made visible by an unexamined identity. The plank represents unconscious identification. The hidden agreements you live from without questioning. As long as identity is externalized, hear this part. As long as identity is externalized, the mind scans the world for error, for blame, for confirmation. Correction becomes outward because authorship has not yet been claimed inward. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? You're absolutely right, Alexis. You're absolutely right. As long as identity is externalized, the mind will scan the world for error, blame, and confirmation. We will turn everything out there into it's their fault. Look at that person. Look what they're doing. Look at the market. Look at that politician. Look at my family. Look at all the situations I've been through, right? We will constantly outsource until what? Now, keep in mind, I'm not telling you to take the approach to sit back and say, oh, well, it's all my fault. And now try to figure out, well, what about the abuse? Well, what about this? Well, what about that? That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this. Let's say that you just sat back right now and you just said, you know what? Everything in the past, it just is what it is. Up until this point, everything is absolutely meaningless. I take back my power. I am going to become the author of my reality moving forward. And so now I decide to say what? No, I am prosperity. I don't care what I see out there. I am love. I don't care what has happened to me. That can't define me anymore. I define me, right? So what we're talking about is it's not a victim blaming game. Okay. And even when sometimes when y'all's minds go there, I sometimes get very concerned. Like that's never been the message. That has absolutely never been the message, right? The message is, can you decide that you are powerful right now? You can sit there and try to analyze the things that went on in your past. You can do that. But where does that get you? At what point do you just decide, you know what? That's not me anymore. This is who I am right now. At what point do you decide who you are right now moving forward? In this moment. It always comes back to, who am I in this moment? Oh, well, the situation happened. That's cool. It was a real experience. But it doesn't define you. Who are you right now in this moment? Who do you decide to be right now in this moment? Okay? Wonderful. Metaphysically, so this verse, right? The why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not consider the plank in your own? Metaphysically, this verse exposes a law of awareness, right? You cannot see clearly while misidentifying the source of sight. Yes. Judgment of others is not awareness. It is displacement. It is displacement, right? The moment I start judging, I should be like, okay, what in me is causing me to do that? What in me is causing me to do that? Now, at this point, am I saying that you should just walk around and not judge? No, I judge a lot. I'm a judger, for sure, right? But now you have the decision to say, look, if this is actually taking away from my life, why am I giving power to it? There's nothing out there. There's only me. There is only me. So why am I sitting here and externalizing my power and saying that you have power over me? This market, this situation, this woman, that man for some of y'all, right? Why are we saying that? Why are we giving power to things outside of us? Okay? Cool. The moment you turn inward and confront the plank, the false position, the unconscious story, the borrowed authority, perception recalibrates. Because why? Because you're going back to the truth of who you are. The world does not need fixing first. Vision does. The world doesn't need fixing. Vision does. When the plank falls, clarity returns and the speck dissolves without effort. So instead of me going out there trying to fix that shit, what do? I just simply go back to the truth. I am the truth. I am the truth. I am the way. I am the life. I trust this is making sense, okay? So the plank is not sin in the moral sense. It's not sin in the moral sense. The plank is unconscious identification. Unconscious identification. Sometimes it is conscious. Oftentimes it is unconscious identification. We start playing the blame game. It's their fault. They did that. It's the market. It's the economy. Right? It's the politicians. They did that. All right. So now, the quote that we're going to go through from Carl Jung, we're not even going to break this. I'm just going to read it because y'all have heard it 1,000 times. All right. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. All right. Calling something fate does not make it sacred. Calling it fate or destiny does not make it sacred. It often just makes it unchallenged. That's often what it is. You're saying that it's fate or destiny. No, typically it's just something that you've just accepted as truth and you don't want to challenge it. I guess my fate is to just be lonely and I'm just destined to be alone and I wish I was born in the wrong generation. Oh yeah, I've heard that one too many goddamn times. I was born in the wrong generation. I'm just destined to be alone. Sometimes I wish I could just slap the victim out of some of y'all. Just slap the victim right up out of y'all. That is what we do. We create these stories that we don't even want to live in. And we just accept it as fate, or destiny. It's often just an unchallenged truth that we've accepted. But now we are what? We're decoupling from that. We're decoupling from this worldly way of thinking. This worldly way of thinking that truth must be proven. Truth must be documented. Truth must have proof out there. No. Truth is simply a choice. Truth is simply a choice. Truth is simply a choice. Okay? I change truths. I change perspectives. I choose differently. Whenever. Okay? Whenever. All right. So here we go. The next part. The world is a mirror and not a prison. The world is a mirror, not a prison. The awakened individual stops asking, why is this happening to me? And starts asking, who am I being? This is where people accuse mysticism of being cruel, right here, okay? But it's not cruelty, it's precision. Let's talk about this, all right? Proverbs 23:7 is what? As a man thinketh in his heart. As a man thinketh in his heart. Remember, why in his heart? Why not just as a man thinketh? Why not just as a man thinketh? What does the heart imply? Like we talk about this, right? The heart implies knowing. The part, we can call the heart the seat of the soul, right? The heart implies what I accept as truth, what I know. Truth is the heart, right? Not just as you think. Thoughts just come and go. If you start studying your thoughts, you'll realize your thoughts are mechanical. They're conditioned. They just fire off. They mean nothing. Their random thoughts pop up, and then another random thought creates a big ass story out of a whole bunch of meaningless thoughts. They mean nothing. Okay? But who are you aware of being? Who can you remember that you have always been this entire time? All right? So, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Not as he thinks casually, not as he affirms loudly, but as he is. The world does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you stand in without negotiation. Remember, we talk about negotiation. When you choose your identity, when you choose who you are, right? I am prosperity. At that point, I've made the choice. It's a dictatorship. No one else gets a seat at the table. The thoughts don't get a seat at the table. The emotions don't get a seat at the table. The feelings don't get a seat at the table. The circumstances don't nothing gets a seat at the table. They are what they are, but I am that I am, no matter what. I am that I am, no matter what. All right, here we go. Next. Trigger warning. This is where awakening gets real. All right, so if you are still, here we go. I should have kept that trigger part off, right? I know some of y'all get sensitive. If you are still blaming external conditions, the teaching has not landed. If you're still waiting for permission, the authority has not yet been claimed. If you're still hoping circumstances will change before you do, you are still bargaining. Okay? So John 5:39-40. You search the scriptures because you think that in them you have eternal life, yet you refuse to come to me. Now, the literalist reads this, and what do they say? The literalist reads this and they say, well, come to me meaning, return to Jesus. Right? So they return to Jesus. Right? Just turn towards Jesus. Confess Jesus as your Lord and Savior. This is not what this means. All right? Remember, Jesus represents you. Okay? You, your awareness of being, your quote unquote Christ consciousness, whatever you want to call it. All right? So we search the scriptures because in them we think that we have eternal life. What would the scriptures represent in this case? It doesn't just represent words in a book, right? It could be in whatever. It can mean techniques. It can mean affirmations. It can mean reading. It can mean YouTube videos. It can mean TikTok videos. It can mean books. It can mean any time that I'm trying to search for the divine, okay? We search the scriptures because we think in them we have eternal life. We think our salvation is in the next lecture, in the next video, in the next book, in the next meditation session, in the next affirmation. Yet you refuse to come to me. What is it saying? Well, awareness wants your awareness. Refusing to come to me is refusing to come to you. Right now, in this present moment, is the only place that you'll ever meet the divine. The only place that you'll ever meet God is right here, right now. All right? So the statement is a direct confrontation of spiritual avoidance. Right? It's not a critique of scripture. Right? Jesus isn't criticizing scripture. He's exposing misplacement. The mind searches text, hoping knowledge will substitute for embodiment. Sacred words become a buffer that keeps encounter at a safe distance. Eternal life is mistaken for information, belief systems, or correct interpretation, while the living presence those words point to remains untouched. I know you hear me. I know you hear me. Okay? Eternal life. The eternal life is within you. It's you right now. It's that I am within you. So eternal life is mistaken for information, belief systems, correct interpretation, while the living presence those words point to remains untouched. Remains untouched. That living presence that is already within you right now, right here, remains untouched. The refusal, okay, at a certain point, it's not ignorance, right? It's hesitation to surrender identity. Oh, I love you. I love y'all, by the way. Right? I love it. I trust that this is, I trust that it's, like little light bulbs going off, like little fucking fireflies going off in your mind right now. Metaphysically, right? Coming to me. When it says, yet you refuse to come to me. Coming to me is not religious. It's not religious. It has nothing to do with your baptism or religion or going to church. It has nothing to do with that. It's not geographical. Being the chosen people, being born, fortunately just winning the genetic lottery, and now you're the chosen people of God, right? It's a ridiculous statement. God is pure being. God is pure spirit. All that there is, God has no favorites, gender and race, sexual preference, all of that, right? God has no care about that, okay? It is an inward turning toward lived union. Scriptures are maps and not destinations. When the map becomes the focus, the journey stalls. When we put too much emphasis on the actual map instead of the actual presence, being aware with awareness, the journey stalls. So this verse dismantles spiritual accumulation and calls for direct communion. Truth is not found through study alone. And this is the constant thing that we'll return to. We'll say, well, the intellectual mind is going to struggle to understand its source. You're going to struggle up here to truly understand it. To truly understand it, right? It has to be accepted as the truth. Accepted and chosen as the truth, right? So truth is not found through study alone, but through quote unquote alignment with truth. What does that mean? What does that mean? Truth is not found through study alone, but through alignment with truth. There we go, Dora. Dora the Explorer, you know what I'm saying? Be aware that you are awareness. Can you be aware that you are already everything you desire to be? Absolutely beautiful, right? Until one stops outsourcing authority to symbols and turns inward toward the source they signify, the words remain read but not realized. That's such a powerful statement. Okay. Until we can stop outsourcing our authority to labels, to symbols, which is all the circumstances are, right? And we can talk about this in all kinds of ways. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not against synchronicities and angel numbers and all of those things. I'm not against it. However, when we put our power in these things, I want you to really think about it. Think about it. I used to be on an angel number journey, little synchronicity journey. I want you to imagine this. You're out walking one day. SP just broke up with you. Even though you've been manifesting her for 13 days, right? She just broke up with you. You're outside walking, and all of a sudden, car drives by you. It splashes water on you. Damn. But all of a sudden, you're pissed off. But when you look, you see a 333 on the license plate. You say, it must be a sign. Fuck the wet clothes. It must be a sign for my SP. Let me get on the Google. So you get out Google. What does a 333 mean? The first one says it means money and prosperity. You say, no. I don't want that one. Money and prosperity. No, I need it about my SP. You go to the next one. The second one says it means new beginnings. You say, no, not a new beginning. I don't want a new beginning. I just want my person back. You go to the third one. It means love. Maybe a secret interest is going to reignite. And you say, this must mean the SP. A 333. And then the third one was about love. It's a sign. It's a sign from the heavens. And all of a sudden, you have accepted this as truth. What if they were in a different order? You would have figured out how to put a story together anyway. It wouldn't matter. So I'm not saying that these things aren't quote unquote real. I'm just saying that we are the ones who sit here and we draw meaning and conclusions to everything. Oh my God. And she left me at 3:00. And she left me at 3:00. It's a sign. It's a sign from the heavens. Thank you, spirit guides. Thank you, spirit team. Now all of a sudden you're happy for the rest of the day. The spirit guides have come through on the 3rd, and tomorrow's going to be the 3rd. That must mean they're going to call me tomorrow. Oh, you can't wait. You know it. You're going to sleep tonight. Don't let you look over at your clock and it says 8:33 when you're in the bed. You went to sleep early. You have to get ready. You got your fit. You got your SP outfit laid out. You get in that bed and you look over. It says 8:33. So another 3. Another 3. Don't let you wake up in the middle of the night at 3. It don't matter if it's 3:02. It don't matter if it's 3:48. You wake up at 3:48. You're going to say, oh my God, I woke up at 3:00. Oh my goodness. Right? So we start creating these stories, right? And accepting new truths. The SP outfit. And accepting these truths about things. Okay? So I'm not saying that these things aren't real. What I'm saying, why I say the story like that, is to illustrate that we give final meaning. We give final meaning. Cinnamon bath, not a shower. Cinnamon bath, not a shower. All right. So here we go. Cool. So you can read truth endlessly and never embody it. You can watch content, quote mystics, memorize scripture, and still miss the mark. Because the mark is not knowledge. The mark is not knowledge. The mark is decision. The mark is decision. Okay? At some point, awakening stops being mystical and becomes practical. At some point. Okay? At some point, awakening stops being mystical and becomes practical. You either stand as the one who decides or you remain the one who reacts. There is no middle ground. There is no middle ground. There is no middle ground. Okay? Cool. The call into accountability. I'm about to start giving y'all some tough love on your SPs in 2026. If I start seeing y'all asking the same question over a span of a week, 2 weeks, I'm about to start giving y'all some tough love in here. Okay? Some very, very tough love. And it goes in, and why I'm saying that, I'm not saying that to be mean. What I'm saying that for is because this point is so true. When it says at some point awakening stops being mystical and becomes practical, at some point we have to step into truth and say, okay, well, you know what? Who am I being? Right? Who am I being right now? If I'm, every 3 days I'm complaining about what this person did. Oh, well, today, I woke up and it's just so hard for me and it's exhausting for me to stay in this and stand in this truth. At some point, guys, we have to look ourselves in the mirror and say, all right, let me just be a little bit more blunt with y'all. At some point, you're going to have to look yourself in the mirror and say, am I just being pathetic right now? Is this, would a younger version of me be proud to see me acting like this? Am I proud to look at myself doing this? The point of this journey isn't for you to become, an SP fiend. The point of this journey isn't for you to wrap your entire spiritual, quote unquote, awakening around somebody else. Right? It's not for you to make a shrine about this person. It's about you putting yourself back in the center of reality. And when you put yourself back in that center of reality, it's like, okay, well, the situation is what it is, but I know who I am. I know what the truth is. And so now I'm just going to allow that truth to unfold from within me. Or from within me. But my goodness, the longer that we stay in the specific person journey from a very unhealthy perspective is the longer that we just suffer. We suffer, right? Christmas passed. We wanted to spend. I was hoping that they got a text from them. New Year's, we wanted to spend with them. Now you're waiting for your birthday. Now you're waiting for your birthday to show up. Now you're waiting for Valentine's Day. Now you're waiting for this day. Now you're waiting for this weekend. Now they know this is a special event for you. And now you're constantly waiting. Let me make sure that TikTok knows I'm not an alien. So we're constantly waiting, right? We're constantly outsourcing our power. We're constantly putting this person on the pedestal and thinking, okay, well, am I doing it right? We're always questioning ourselves. Am I doing this right? Am I doing it right? Am I saying the right things? Am I affirming the right things? Am I feeling the right way? Well, maybe it's the reprogramming. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. And it becomes a very, very brutal process. We just become our own torturer. We get used to suffering. We believe, okay, you know what? If I suffer long enough, then I'll be rewarded. And here's the thing, okay? I've talked to some of y'all, a lot of y'all one-on-ones, right? And a point that it gets to is, let's have a little honest therapy session together, okay? The point that it gets to is you can be on this journey, this SP journey for so long, right? That you stop being a good person for anybody. You can't be around your family because you believe they're going to bring down your vibration. Okay? And you sit around fiending for this person so much that you can't show up in life anymore. And even if they did show up today or tomorrow on the 3rd at 3:33, even if they text you at 3:33, you would be so focused on what to do to get them that if one thing went wrong, you would be trying to affirm your way through it. You would be trying to visualize your way through it. I wasn't going to go too far on this, but I am. I'm about to go a little bit further on this, all right? One of the things that is very, very important is the present moment, right? You can only have what you have in the present moment. You can't have it in the future. You can't have it in the past. You can only have it in the present moment, right? And so how many times do we meet this person? You didn't choose to just completely fall in love with that person, right? But for some reason, you met them and There was a spark. Beautiful spark, right? There was something beautiful about them that just lit you up. The thing is, that beauty that you saw in them, it was you. You cannot see what you are, what you aren't. You cannot see what you aren't. But we get so externally focused that we completely get blinded. We completely get blinded by the external world, thinking that the external world is the absolute truth. Okay? So something about them just lit you up. And in the beginning, it felt like bliss, right? It was absolutely divine. And you looked at them and you said, I could spend the rest of my life with this person. And you knew without a doubt, they didn't even have to say it. Maybe they did say it, maybe they didn't. But you already knew that they felt the same way about you. You knew it. It was a truth. And the times that y'all were together was present. You thought about them purely from this beautiful perspective. You began to think about your future together, the present together. You began to make plans with them. You began to take care of yourself better. They became this spark that allowed you to walk in the most divine version of yourself. That spark was you the whole time. Now, what happens? Where do things go wrong? Maybe it was unpredictable. Maybe it wasn't. But all of a sudden, let's say you had a bad relationship in the past. And in that quote unquote bad relationship, things happened that maybe you studied later on. And you said, I'm not going to tolerate this anymore. And so all of a sudden, now you see something in this new relationship that reminds you of them. Or they do something and you question it. You question it. And now all of a sudden, that thing starts building up more and more. Whatever it may be. Maybe it was little in the beginning. You thought, I can deal with it. Or I have a conversation and they initially agreed to it. And then maybe it slipped. Or maybe something new came up. And then it became a nagging. Whatever the case may be, all of a sudden, there was a transition. The transition could have been quickly. It could have been slowly. Where now you're living in the past and the future. You're thinking about what they did. What were they doing when they weren't with you? What are they going to do when they're not with you? What do they actually mean? How do they actually feel about you? You begin to question yourself. And the more you question yourself, guess what? The less present you are with them. The more you're thinking about all these things, the less present you are with them. Now, what is the paradox here? You can only have what you're present with. You can only have what you have right now. And so now you're constantly in this mindset of not having them in this present moment. You can't appreciate them in this present moment. The present moment simply becomes this waiting room, waiting for something to go wrong, waiting for it to finally get better. Never fully accepting that this present moment is everything and you have them. And so eventually that situation has to die. They have to leave. Whatever way, they have to leave. They have to leave. And so now you come into this space. You got on Google. You said, how do I get my lover back? How do I get them to fall back in love with me? You read books. You read articles. You sent them flowers. Long, drawn out, heartfelt text messages. You might have wrote them a letter. None of it worked. And one day you ran across how to manifest them. And so you started watching these videos. And before you truly could remember who you were caught up in techniques. You were caught up in techniques. You were caught up in sleep tapes and affirmations. But there was still something at the core of that. And what was that? It was presence. You still weren't present right now with them. You were still using this present moment. Maybe you are still using this present moment as a waiting room. In the future, when they come back, this present moment will be worth it. In the future, when they come back, this present moment will be filled with love. You use the present moment as a waiting room to think about the past. I wish I had done this. If only I had known this. If this had happened. This entire journey is about you coming back into that waiting room and making it your home and realizing that you'll never live in the future or the past again. Right now, you are everything that you desire to be. Until you make the present moment your home and you get real comfortable here, real divine right here. And so you remember who you are right here in this moment. This present moment, you sit here and you think that all your fulfillment is in the future, and you wonder why. You absolutely wonder why this present moment feels void and feels empty and it feels lacking. But you're constantly using it for a waiting room. A waiting room always feels empty. It's filled with sickness. It's filled with frustration. That's what a waiting room is. It's filled with uncertainty. Until you turn this waiting room into a home, you will be making the same mistake, which is you do not accept that you are already everything that you desire to be right here, right now, in this moment. Because you are. So even if by some miracle, right, they wander in your life, but you're still using this present moment as a placeholder. Oh, I manifested them back with affirmations and it was so hard. And now y'all have a slight disagreement, right? You have a little disagreement. And instead of you being present and knowing, no, I am love. Even God is here now. Even this conversation, this disagreement, is just two people exploring different perspectives of the one. We're just doing it within the realm of this relationship or within the bound of a relationship. Instead of me thinking that, I'm thinking there's a problem. I'm still basing who I am on the external circumstance. I'm saying, because you showed up like this, I must be doing something wrong. So now what do? All of a sudden, I take the identity of someone doing something wrong. I say, okay, because I see this, I must affirm different, visualize different. And before we know it, right, we have turned into specific Persians. Instead of Christians, you've turned into a specific Persian. An Espianity. You've turned spirituality into Espianity. You think if I say the perfect affirmation, then my SP will hear me. If I visualize correctly, my SP will hear me. The same way the church folks treat Jesus. How many people treat their SP? The same way the church people treat Jesus. They become the center of your life. You're on all the live streams, spamming comments, shamelessly, pathetically spamming comments about your SP. You ain't even do that about Jesus when you were in the Christian faith. You ain't even do that about Jesus. You didn't try to get to know Jesus the way you're trying to get to know your SP. You think salvation is tied to their private parts. Now, I'm not going to judge you because I don't know what their private parts look like, but some of their private parts must be dipped in gold. It must have been dipped in absolute gold. So we simply use this person because we take this SP and we put them on such a pedestal that we completely forget about ourselves. We completely forget about ourselves, right? You know, I don't want to go out today. I got to keep my vibration up for my SP so they'll come back. You wouldn't even stay away from the club for Jesus. Ugh. You wouldn't even stay away from the club for Jesus. You know, I just don't want to get around my family because they'll bring my vibration down. Hold up. You have been gossiping with these people for the last 13 years at every function, but all of a sudden now it's a problem because of your SP. I want you to think about this. If every version of you, if there was a camera, if you are on this SP journey and there was a camera following you around 24/7 for the last 6 years, or 6 months, let's say, 6 months, and every version of you got to sit in an auditorium and watch it while you got to explain what you were doing, would you be proud of yourself? Would you be proud of yourself? I would. I'd be proud of myself. Would y'all be proud? Would you be proud of yourself? I for sure would. 100%. No doubt about it. This is the point that I'm making. Is for you to come back into this present moment and realize that you are everything here right now. You are everything right now. That person, all right, the only reason that you are leaving this present moment and going out to search them is because you believe that they're still out there. They are within you. And if you truly simply accepted that and came back to this present moment and just knew, nah, they're within me, how could they leave you? If you truly begin to collapse reality back to the truth, okay, everything is me. If I'm the source, that means everything is me. There's no third party. There's nobody else out there because everybody is me. There's no SP out there because everybody is me. If I begin to sit in their truth on my throne, that I am the prosperity, that I am the love, and then I walk through life and I allowed everything to be a celebration of the love and the prosperity that I already am, you would see that things show up for you easily. But when you're doing these things from this identity of lack, and you're walking through life and you're just trying to get everything out there, you're just constantly trying, under this assumption that you're doing it wrong, that you're not doing it right. This is the final stage of the journey. The final stage of the journey is, can you choose that you already have it? Can you choose to sit on your throne in this present moment and know that everything will unfold to you? Very interestingly, right? I had these earrings. These are my favorite earrings. There's some gold hoops, right? And the other day I took one off, took the right one off. And I had cleaned both of them. I had the left one in. The right one, for some reason, didn't feel right. So I took it out and went to wash it again and lost it. But I thought I had sat it down right here on this counter, but I lost it. Okay. And I went and did laundry. Went and did a whole bunch of laundry. And my sister was over this weekend. But I was looking for it, like, okay, let me put this earring in because we were going to go out somewhere. And I couldn't find it. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to look for it. It'll show up. I can't find it if I assumed it was lost anyway. So it'll just show up. Okay, so I just made that decision. So all of a sudden my sister was like, you know what? Can I do some laundry? I was like, of course you can do laundry. Of course you can do laundry. So she's doing laundry, and then she just walks up to me like, hey, bro, is this your earring? I was like, I don't know. What does it look like? So she showed it to me. It was this earring that I lost right here, right? Now, you might think, well, it's an earring. It's not an SP. That's your problem. If the moment that you start thinking, well, it's an earring and not an SP, that is the absolute problem. Because to God, it's all the same. I didn't have to go anywhere to get it. I simply had to decide it will show up. And I simply had to exist, to be in this present moment, to know that I am source, to walk through life, and it showed up to me at the perfect time. SP is specific person. We are the ones who put certain things on pedestals, thinking that, oh, this is more important than this. This is more difficult to get than this. It's not. It's not at all. Everything will show up perfectly for you when you stop assuming that anything can be lost or anything can go away. Okay? Cool. Exactly, sunshine. Right. Like, and we all have experiences like this. All of us have experiences like this. It's about going back to it. One of the things that I used to talk about a lot was the story of the Israelites getting free from Egypt. And interestingly, right, metaphysically, so God shows up and does all these miracles in their life, the 7 miracles, right? Taps it, turns the water to blood, and kills, goes as far as slaughtering the firstborn kids for the Israelites, right? And they got into the wilderness and they were still saying, man, we should stay back in slavery. So they saw all of those miracles already and they still were like, I don't know. Slavery might be a little bit better than this, okay? They were still tripping. So it's just part of that human conditioning is that we tend to use the present moment to simply complain about shit. And so we almost have to retrain ourselves to come back to this moment, which is what I always say, right? It's just practice. We have to constantly bring ourselves back here and undo all of that programming that was, keeping us locked into not remembering. Because we all have moments where things just seemingly work out. Like I'll have conversations with y'all and we'll start talking about something and I'll start pressing y'all and questioning you and about the journey to get there. And we'll get to the end and be like, hold up. This was a fucking miracle. Everything that happened there was an absolute miracle. You're like, yeah, I get it. But the SP. And I'm like, can't you see how you're always provided for? Can't you use those situations to rest more and more and then knowing that everything is going to work out for you? Yeah, I get it, but it's just something about the SP. Well, what are you doing to change that? Right? Like, how much talking are we going to do about this? Or are you just going to decide? And no, that's the same as everything else. Well, it's not that easy. Who says it? Who says it's easy or difficult? We'll say that something's not even easy. We didn't even try it. We just automatically make this story up because we put this person on such a pedestal. We're like, no, I can't relax. Well, how about try? How about decide that it's not going to be difficult? How about decide that it doesn't matter how it feels, it is the same no matter what? This is what that no matter what comes back to. Is yeah, okay, sure. It feels difficult. That's fine. But that's just the ego. The ego is not creating anyway. God is creating. I am I am does the work. I of myself can do nothing. That's why the ego doubts. It fears, but it's the Father that does the work. It's the I am within me that does the work. The I am is knowing. The I am doesn't waver. The I am sees no problems. It's whole, complete. Everything is already done within I am. So we come up with all these excuses, and all the excuses are doing is just keeping us from resting in the truth of who we are, who we've always been. All right. So let me finish this up. Okay. So here we go. Galatians 5:1 says what? It says, stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened by a yoke of slavery. Stand firm then. Do not let yourselves be burdened by a yoke of slavery. Yoke, in this sense, meaning identity, right? Stand firm in the truth of who you are. Do not let yourself be burdened by a yoke of slavery. What is the slavery representing? An identity to anything that's just disempowering, where I can't do this because of the market. I can't do this because that person's not here. I can't, whatever excuse that we make outside of ourselves. Whatever excuse that we make outside of ourselves, right? Don't be burdened again. By attaching yourself, identifying with slavery. Okay, here we go. So it's not a warning about external oppression. It is what? Exposure of internal regression. The yoke is not imposed by the world. Your identity is not imposed by the world. All right, it is re-accepted by the mind. To stand firm is to remain rooted in an identity already liberated. not to fight for freedom as a future event. Slavery here refers to returning to old agreements, old explanations, old authorities after truth has already been seen. Once awareness has tasted freedom, returning to unconscious submission is not ignorance, it's choice. Once awareness has tasted freedom, returning to unconscious submission isn't ignorance, it's choice. Metaphysically, this verse calls out the subtle habit of renegotiating identity when pressure appears. Fear, guilt, obligation, tradition, and circumstance all attempt to rehook the mind into dependency. Okay, so this verse is uncompromising with its approach, right? Stand firm then. Don't let yourself be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. Freedom isn't fragile, it must be occupied. The moment you look outside for permission, validation, safety, the yoke slips back on. Standing firm means refusing to explain yourself to appearances and refusing to surrender authority once it has been reclaimed. Beautiful. Slavery is not external systems. It is agreement. It is agreement. Okay? Unconscious or conscious agreement. Here we go. Awakening is not about seeing how broken the world is. Right? We don't want to get stuck there. Awakening is not about seeing how broken the world is. It's about realizing you were never meant to ask the world who you are. It doesn't matter what it looks like. You were never meant to ask the world who you are. The moment you stop missing the mark, the world doesn't argue, it simply reorganizes. Absolutely divine. Okay? Absolutely divine. So I got a love letter for y'all, and then we will, what time is it? Yeah, got a love letter for y'all. We'll do a couple questions. All right. Beloved, 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 beloved. You were never meant to wrestle the world into agreement. You were never meant to plead with circumstances or negotiate your worth with outcomes. Every time you tried, it wasn't because you were weak, but because you momentarily forgot who was speaking through you. This journey was never about conquering life. It was about waking up inside it and realizing you are the one life has been responding to all along. I forgive you for every time you blame the wind for the direction of the sail. Let me say that again. I forgive you for every time you blame the wind for the direction of the sail. I just don't know if y'all heard me. I just gotta say it again. I apologize. I got to say it again. I forgive you for every time you blame the wind for the direction of the sail. I forgive you for every moment you mistook reaction for wisdom and delay for humility. You were learning. You were remembering how to stand. And now, here you are. No longer asking the world who you are. No longer waiting for proof before choosing truth. You feel the quiet authority settling in. Not loud, not dramatic, but absolutely undeniable. So let this be the vow we seal gently but firmly. I will not abandon myself when pressure rises. I will not bow to appearances or rehearse old explanations. I will not pick up the yoke again just because it feels familiar. I choose to stand as the one who decides, the one who remembers, the one who does not miss the mark because my eyes are finally fixed on what is real. And if I ever forget, I promise to return here, to this knowing, to this love, and to myself. Right? I am that I am, no matter what. Hold up, y'all. My sister called me. What up, sis? I am. Can I hit you right back? Are you busy? Everything all right? How far are you? Okay, okay. I'm gonna check it. I'm gonna check it. All right, love you. I'm gonna talk to you soon. Let me call you right back. All right, bye. All right, what questions y'all got? What would I do? I don't know. I simply would decide that everything is working out for me and I'm in Costa Rica. That's what I would do. I would decide. Whether you pack or not doesn't mean anything. You just decide you're there. You just decide you're there. Man. Every time I talk to my mom, she makes me feel less than. How can I view my mom as uplifting? How can anybody make you feel less than? You make yourself feel less than. You're just using your mom as an excuse. Nobody can make you feel less than. You can just accept what somebody else is saying, which is already your assumption. Because I guarantee when you walk into that conversation, you're already accepting that she's going to make you feel less than. Right? So nobody can make you feel less than. Doesn't matter what you say to me, say about me. I'm unshakable. I'm unshakable in the knowing of who I am. Blissful blue dreams, I will. I will. I will. Should I try to cultivate the feelings I'm there because it doesn't feel like it? The feelings I'm there. What do you mean? What is cultivate? What is the feeling of being? What is this imaginary feeling that you're talking about? You're gonna go on the trip. Why wouldn't you pack? Make the decision fast. There we go. Practical and fastest way for what, man? That I'm in Costa Rica. It is definitely a rebirth. It's definitely a rebirth. If you embody the state of being already in a relationship with SP, the 3D rearranges and the most. You don't know how you would feel. You don't know if you would be relieved and happy. Something stressful might come up there too. You just decide that you're there. Everything else is just decoration. Practical and easy way. Shit, you just decide that yeah. Yes. Maria. Yes. It just rearranged in the most practical and beautiful way. All right, let me lock in because these comments are moving fast as hell. All right, let me lock in. How are you in Costa Rica when you're in your house? You might need to do a little bit more studying if you're asking that question. External reality is not the truth. You are reality. So if you decide that you are there, okay, if you decide that you are in Costa Rica right now where you are reality, therefore that is the truth. The situation out there isn't the truth, right? How do you know that you're going to school today when you're at the house? How do you know that you have to wash dishes later on before company if you are sitting on the couch, right? So sometimes we ask these questions. I want to be like, well, what do you mean? You do this all the time. All of a sudden we walk into this space and we get brain dead. It's like, well, how can I be there if I'm not there right now? How can you decide that you have to change clothes if you are still in the car on the way home? You make the decision, right? And you know that that decision must be made manifest. This is the same thing. So you decide right now that everything is going to work out, that you are in Costa Rica, and that is it. You don't waver from it. The only way that it cannot happen is if what? You choose it. If you choose differently. That's the only way that it changes, if you choose differently. Talk about how all manifestations are equally easy for God. Yes, they are. That's all I really have to say about it, right? Is that this creator within you this power within you that has organized the stars and the moons and this entire universe and chosen blades of grass to just pop out of the ground, right? That power within you, surely it can give you a couple dollars. Surely it can give you this one specific person, right? There's nothing more difficult or more easy to the divine. There's simply our awareness of things being more difficult or taking longer. Time just often becomes this cop-out so that when we are walking through life, we can use it as an excuse to not fully believe in what we want, right? But I've talked to people that have won lotteries and haven't even played the lottery. Talked to people that became millionaires overnight because they decided it, right? Talk to people that have, I'm seeing in my own family, people who have healed large tumors, right? So what is possible? What boundary, what limitation are you placing on God? What limitation are you placing on God? What about when you're manifesting physical change that applies to the same ease? Yep, sure does. It does. It applies to the same ease. But the thing with kind of physical pain is that often the feelings become the boundary, right? The feelings become the boundary. But it's all the same. Morning. Should I just let go or feel like Alyssa, I just realized that was you. Here's a new profile picture. I just realized it was you. Now I'm even more confused. So I'm like, damn, girl, why are you asking the same questions you've been asking for the last 7 months? Damn. Why are you asking the same questions? Just decide. What is the truth? What is the absolute truth? What is the truth, Alyssa? Where are you? Are you in Costa Rica or are you not? Are you going or are you not going? Do I need to give y'all another Big Brother speech? By the way, y'all, I bought those the Meta Ray-Bans. Ooh wee, those hoes are fire. Those hoes are fire. All right, somebody give me a topic and I'll give y'all the Big Brother speech. All these yeses. Oh man. Everybody sit down around the fire. God damn, look at all these fucking comments. Where have all of y'all been this whole damn time? Golly, all these comments are flying. Watch it. Oh, man. Where have you been? Oh, man. Y'all just confused. I don't even remember what I asked. I don't even remember what I asked y'all anymore. How do you change identity when you see yourself doing something you want to change? Ooh-wee. Run pro. Yes. Hold up. Give me a couple minutes and I got y'all. I wanted the topic. Thank y'all for reminding me. I was just playing with y'all. I didn't forget. Dealing with people lying and shit. Say that one more time, KT. Tell someone with the president. Yep, you must hold. Nah, G, I wasn't forgetting. Dealing with people lying and betrayal. Let's do that. Just KT, one of the realest ones in the chat. One of the realest in the chat. Even though she don't ask me all of her questions because she gets shy and thinks I'm gonna talk shit about about an SP. Even though you think I'm gonna talk shit. You said it. You told me you said it in a live before. You were like, I don't ask you my SP questions. I ask somebody else. I was like, oh, okay. Is the betrayal and lying? Does it have to do with a? SP? Not your SP, but a guy in your life? Should I make the conversation about it? You know what? All right, let's talk. So, what time is it? Is it too early for a beer? Yeah, it's 10:30. I don't need y'all judging me. Matter of fact, I don't really care about y'all judging me. Give me about 5 seconds and I got you. Gonna have one. I do truly empathize with y'all on the SP journey because I empathize with y'all on that SP journey because no, she's okay. She's driving right now. This is cool. All right, so let's talk about betrayal. Okay. It really goes back to what we were talking about earlier today. So the quote that we discussed was, let me see, it was Matthew 7:3. Okay, Matthew 7:3, which is, why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but do not consider the plank in your own? Now, I want to preface this by saying that whenever we are dealing with someone that, you don't like their actions, okay? You don't like their actions, whether it's abuse in any kind of way, verbal, physical, whatever the case may be, or even if it's just lying, right? Even if it's just disrespect, right? the first thing that you can always do is leave. Okay? When I say that, do y'all hear me? Do you understand what I'm saying that? Or do you say, oh, well, if I leave, I can't get my manifestation? If, let's say that you're dealing with somebody that you feel is disrespectful, and I say, you know what, just fucking leave them. Do you begin to think about what I want? Now, it's more of a rhetorical question. It's more of a reflection question, right? Why I ask it is because if you think, well, I can't get what I want if I do that, I want you to re-examine what you believe this whole space is about. That's all. I asked that question just so you can examine what you believe is true, what you feel is true, what you know is truth in this space. Okay? That's first and foremost. So let's go a little bit further. Okay? Now remember, everything is absolutely meaningless. Oh, this is going to be such a good discussion. Everything is absolutely meaningless. Now, there are two schools of thought. First school of thought is going to be that, everything is me, which is right. And the second is going to be everything is meaningless, with it, which is right? Both of these things are right. But how? How are both of these things right? It's a paradox, okay? Remember, within awareness, everything exists. So if God is all that there is, the question that I always ask is, well, if God is all that there is, what do you expect to not see in reality? Okay. So you're walking through life and all of these circumstances show up. Okay, you have a circumstance of somebody walking by, they cheat. Somebody walks by, they betray you. They are unloyal, whatever the case may be, right? So, Shanika, you're asking the same questions, man. You need to listen up. Pay attention to what I'm saying, all right? So now, you're walking through reality, and these same situations continue to show up, or different situations, random situations. A situation with a person disrespecting you, a person not loyal, a person turning their back, a person doing whatever. If that situation just flows and everything is within awareness, what sense does it make for me to see a situation I don't like, right? Okay, this person cheats. This person is unloyal. And me take it and saying, okay, because they're unloyal, I need to figure out how to handle this situation. Okay, I need to figure out what I'm doing wrong and why I'm getting this, right? Does that make sense? If you believe it does make sense, why? If you believe that does make sense, why? If you don't believe it makes sense, don't answer. If you think it makes sense for me to find a situation I don't like and to figure out why it's happening to me, tell me why. This is a quick sentence. Oh, y'all scared to type now? So y'all scared? This is already over because All right, cool. I'll answer the question again since y'all over here daydreaming about SPs. I know y'all already typing your SP. Well, what if my SP didn't respond on New Year's? What do I do? Listen. Okay, listen. So now you're walking through a situation, whatever the situation is. Okay, and this person, remember, everything out there is neutral. It means fucking nothing. Okay, so it shows up. This situation shows up, and this person disrespecting you. Okay, this person is disrespecting you. This person is quote unquote disloyal to you. This person lies to you. All right, what would be the benefit of me taking this situation and saying, what did I do wrong? What would be the benefit of me taking this situation and trying to figure out what went wrong? Tell me the benefit. If you believe that there is a benefit, tell me the benefit. There we go. Trying to control it, probably. We see a lot of no benefits. We'll get to that answer in a second. But if you do believe that there is a benefit, why? So you can change your story so it doesn't happen again. Perhaps. Because it tells you who you were being. Ooh, perhaps. It would give you control concerning knowledge. Just feels like it created stress. Ooh, okay. Cool. So there's this situation that was meaningless, right? The situation that was meaningless. It's dangled in front of you. And now you grab it. Some of y'all just, ooh, I wish it was dangling in front of me right now. It's your nasty ass, all right? So you grab this situation. Boom. Now you're trying to figure out, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong for them to be disloyal? What did I do wrong for them to be disloyal, for them to cheat? What did I do wrong for them to be disloyal? All right, now what you're really doing is this. Hear me when I say this, okay? Hear me when I say this. What you're actually doing is that you're taking this situation and now you're building an identity around it. You're saying, well, look, okay, because this showed up, I must have done something wrong. So now I need to figure out what I did wrong so that I can fix it. You're assuming the identity of someone who is not fixed right now, who can't get what they want right now, who is waiting for the future to be fulfilled. Do you know what I'm saying? So another alternative, because sure, you can figure it out, but what I would say is this. You don't need to figure out why this happened. You don't need to study this to get clarity. Sure, you bring everything. Sure, you can think that way. That's fine. But this is the point that I'm making. Just the mere fact that you were able to identify something you don't like, it guarantees that you know what you actually do like. You said, I don't like disloyal people. What does that mean? What is it saying that you actually like? Mo, my question is not going to be who are you being. I don't care about who you were being. I care about who you are being right now. I don't care about you studying the past. Studying the past, sure, it's fun, but you can do that from still knowing who I am. Now, here's the thing, right? Because yes, we can talk about who you're being, but we have to understand this first. Why? Because if I'm just trying to figure out who I was being to get this, I'm still saying that this situation is me now. And until I figure out who I was being, I can't move on from this situation. So I'm holding on to this situation saying, who was I being? What was I doing? Let me study it so I can get a different perspective. You don't need to study it. All I know is this. I was cheated on. That means I don't want to get cheated on no more. I'm not cheated on. Boom. New identity assumed. I move forward in that. Now, if I do want to study it and be like, okay, what was I doing? That's cool. Sure, you can have fun doing that. I prefer not to, but you can do that if you want. You can do that if you want, but do it from the identity of you're already the person that gets what you want moving forward. What you'll find is when you assume that identity, there's no real need to go back in the past anymore. Why do I need to figure out? It's meaningless. It's all you because it's all awareness. It's not all you because it's personal. There's no purpose in me sitting around and studying things I don't want. I study the story of me telling why I have things that I don't want. And typically I can cut through that story and no, I am the person I desire to be right now. Boom. That's it. Problem solved. If I am the person I desire to be, why would I be telling that story? There's the healing. But I don't sit around and study and do research and write a dissertation on what I was doing. No. It happened. It is what it is. It is what it is, but I am that I am, right? So I come back to this present moment. The answer is always going to be come back to the present moment and who are you being right now? Boom. That's it. So when we're talking about anything, disloyalty, how do I handle it? You handle it by doing what you think is best, but you already know who you are moving forward. You already have clarity, right? So this person wasn't loyal. That means you want someone that's loyal, right? Okay, cool. So you are the person who is, these men are just dying to be loyal to you. They're sick without you. They can't do anything without you. Okay, cool. That is your identity no matter what. Now, let's go a step further. Let's say that it becomes difficult to stay in this identity because you have certain things that you believe you've went through, right? Trauma. The old story. The old feelings. This person is somebody, maybe you're in an active relationship with them. You're trying to work through it. Okay? How do you handle those things? How do you handle those things? Now, when you say that it feels difficult to stay in the knowing, I think we're going to address that. But this is what I want you to think about, right? We'll talk about the nature of God and we'll say, well, God is untouched by appearance. God is untouched by your feelings. God is untouched by your feelings, by thoughts, only looking to unconditionally support you and who you decide that you are, right? So this God is above all that, right? So now, if we take that from a macro level, that makes sense. God just is. He's the isness of reality. Let's talk about that when it comes to you. What would your thoughts and emotions and circumstances represent? They will represent the ego, right? So God just is. God is unconditionally supporting you and is untouched by the ego. Untouched by the thoughts, by the emotions, by the ego, by all of that riffraff, by all that rigmarole, right? By all of that nonsense. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start this by saying something very, very simple. The best way for you to handle, okay, you say you want disloyalty and you're still in a relationship with them, or old trauma comes up, whatever the case may be. Here's the number one thing. The best way for you to handle it is what? The best way that you can. Oh, does that sound too simple? Did you want something a little bit more complex than that? The best way for you to handle it is the best way that you can. What does that mean? Whoops. You tell me. What is the best way for you to handle it? Is it for you to walk away for a little bit? Is it for you to stay in that situation? What's the best way? Here's the thing. Do you believe that God is impacted by what your ego does? Do you think that your ego slows down and speeds up God? Because that's the first illusion that we have to bypass, right? Exactly. Nah, God's untouched by the ego. The ego is just your human experience. God is untouched by it. So now, if God is untouched by it, I see what I want is control to stop it from happening, which is not reacting at source. Oh, okay. Well, let's baby steps, KT, baby steps, all right? To stop it from happening, which is not acting as source. All right. Okay. Then what is acting as source? What would acting as source be? If trying to stop it is not acting as source, then what would acting as source be? If we address it, does it mean we're identifying with it? No. Hell no. I can block you and still decide that you gonna come back. You love my ass. You can't get enough of Big Daddy King Dong, right? You can't get enough. You gonna come back. So addressing is not identifying with any. Addressing is just addressing. Not identifying it is not identifying. Not identifying it is saying, okay, well, look, I'm going to the situation is what it is. So I'm going to handle it to the best of my ability, but I still know who I am. This is what it would look like practically. Because I guess the best way that I can explain it is, let's say that you are in a conversation with somebody, right? Let's say that you're having a conversation and they're not responding the way that you want. It's an SB or it's somebody that you care about, okay? And you've decided that they're in love with you. Oh, they just love my dirty draws, right? Some of y'all really do have dirty draws. And so let's say that you decide that they love you. All right, cool. You've made that decision. And they're still acting like they're not in that conversation. What do? Do you sit there and try to remember who you are through the whole conversation? You're just like, you love me, you love me, you love me, you love me. Well, in that moment, aren't you simply just making the I am some kind of affirmation? Remember, if I am is untouched by the ego, then can't you just simply say, oh no, I know the truth. And then just simply, you decided the truth, you remembered the truth, and now all of a sudden you just get present and you just flow with the conversation however it goes, and know that it's always going to unfold for you, and you just handle it to the best of your abilities. So if you're just handling it to the best of your abilities, what does that look like? It looks like reacting if I want to react, not reacting if I don't want to react. It just looks like me flowing through the conversation and being myself. But I already have reminded myself that it's all going to unfold for me no matter what. Right? Like, she would be a fool to turn around and leave this vibranium behind. She'll be a fool. She'll be a fool not to act right. Boom. That's it. She will be a fool, right? So I've made that decision. Now I just flow. What you'll see is that people will change mid-conversation. People will just unfold for you right in that conversation. Hello, Mandy. People will just unfold right in that conversation. So it's just about you. It's about you. So you can't wait. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait. You can decide right now. Yeah, I see this all the time, where people just change mid-conversation. Absolutely good, KT. I'm glad it helped, right? So don't identify as if you do not believe you're there, and you believe that you need to handle something a certain way and figure out how to handle it, and now you feel like you need to study why a certain thing is happening to you, you imply a journey. You imply a journey. And if you are implying a journey, that means that you're not at the destination. Right? So I can't, to think that I still have something to gain or something to figure out is me saying I'm not there yet. That is the paradox. The journey always, saying that I have to go on a journey, it always implies I'm not there yet. But you are there. You're already there. You're already there. You're already there. You can make that decision right now. Absolutely. Tina T. Tina T. No matter what. What other questions y'all got? We were always there. Exactly. We were always there all along. We were just believing in the illusion more than the truth, right? We thought the illusion was more real than us. More real than I am. But we're beyond that now. What's the question, Alyssa? So I can give you the same answer again. I want to go to Costa Rica. Been really anxious. Got a message. Jim took good care of myself. You ever get your desire and get nervous? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. But nervousness is just kind of a part of me. So I randomly get nervous. I've randomly got nervous since I was just a kid. And at first I was trying to figure it out and try to heal this part of me. And then I realized I don't want to do that anymore. I'm just going to let it be. And so now I just watch Alex get nervous, but it's fine. Alex can be nervous because Alex still gets everything that he wants. And I just simply watch Alex do whatever. Right? I allow the character to be the character. I understand that Alex has been through some shit. I understand that I have experienced life. And part of experiencing life is that I have gained experiences. And those experiences have shaped my nervous system. They've shaped me, right? That's fine. It doesn't impact me from this moment forward, right? It doesn't stop anything. It doesn't make my life less fulfilling. If anything, it makes it more beautiful. It makes it more beautiful that I can still have the fullness of the human experience while still trusting the truth of who I am, which is God. The truth is that Alex is God. Alex just don't know it all the time, but that's fine. It doesn't stop him from being God, right? So that's the beauty. You know, Alex sometimes he'll try to joke in serious moments. Sometimes, he stresses. Sometimes I got to bring his ass back into the present moment. That's fine. Sometimes he is tripping about things that don't exist. Sometimes he feels a certain type of way. Sometimes he feels heard. Sometimes he doesn't. But he's always heard. He's never not heard, right? Sometimes he feels like prosperity. Sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he's anxious. Sometimes he feels great. Guess what? He's still God the whole time. He just forgets for a little bit. But that's cool. That's part of the human experience. So I allow myself to have the human experience, which is the perfect segue into that whole Costa Rica talk. Is that every time we talk, Alyssa, I'll constantly be like, it doesn't matter how you feel. And you constantly want to go back to, I feel this way, though. And the question I'll have to ask you is, at what point are we just wasting time with this conversation? At what point do you want to accept that it is your feelings holding you back? If you want to accept that, has that led to you having a good experience with manifesting? No, it hasn't. I know it hasn't because we've talked about this. All right. So why do you continue to cling to a story that does not serve you? This is the brutal question that we all have to ask ourselves. If it is not working, if I do not want it, why am I clinging to it? If it's hard for me to walk around and regulate my emotions all the time, which it is. I've been there thinking that, it's about feeling calm and this, and now I'm denying myself a human experience. I can't even be a human anymore. I'm walking around, I'm nervous for no reason. I don't know why I'm nervous. I'm just nervous because life hasn't been kind all the time, right? Well, it has, but the character thinks it hasn't been kind, right? So I'm sitting there getting nervous about situations that haven't happened, and instead of just being like, it's okay to be nervous, I'm still gonna get it, and coming up with better ways to not be nervous, I think that my nervousness is a boundary to me getting what I want. Listen to me, Alyssa. Listen to me. If you are typing a message, stop and listen to me. I was using my emotions as a boundary between me and getting what I want, which just led to suffering. I said, because I feel this way, I can't get it. Because I'm anxious, I can't get it. And all I was doing is I was putting up a big ass gate in between me and God. And it just led to me suffering. I was always fighting myself. There was no space for me to just feel my emotions anymore because I had anxiety for the anxiety. I was anxious about being anxious. I was nervous about being nervous. I was scared about being scared. So I couldn't even be me. And it just led to me suffering. And I was constantly looking for answers, constantly looking, somebody help. Constantly looking for a way to band-aid myself until the realization came that what? Well, if I'm already everything that I desire to be, that means even the fear and the anxiety is fine and it's perfect. And you might say, well, but I don't want it. And I am going to shoot right back at you. And I'm going to say the only reason you don't want it is because you think it's stopping you from something. The only reason that you are so caught up on anxiety and fear and doubt is because you think it's stopping you from something. And then you're going to say, but Neville Goddard said, feeling is the secret. And I'm going to tell you for the 10th time, when he said feelings, he said, when I speak of feelings, I do not speak of emotions, but the acceptance of the fact that I am already who I desire to be. That is what he said. And I don't know how many times I have to tell you that. I don't know how many times I have to tell you that. And we keep going back to emotions. The center of our conversations is always around emotions. It's always around, but I'm anxious, but I have fear, but I have doubt. And I will say, so what? You're still God. But I shouldn't feel like this if I'm God. You're making it conditional. You're God unconditionally. So what if you feel a certain type of way? You're still God. Your emotions are a perfect part of your humanity. Your humanity wants to be loved, and your divinity wants to be trusted. That's it. Well, if you want to go no matter what, well, you better make up your mind and stop looking for permission. Stop looking for permission from your feelings. You are the only one who can decide. Yet right now you're sitting and you're waiting for permission from your feelings. Well, when my feelings give me permission, now I can go. When Alex gives me permission, I can't give you fucking permission. I can't give any of you permission. I can state my perspective, what I have went through. I can give you my truths. And if it helps you, it helps you. But I cannot give you permission. You give yourself permission because you are God. You're the only God in your reality. The only one in your reality. I don't even exist in your reality without you. This message, you can't hear it without you. I am an empty vessel in your reality, simply spitting to you ancient truths that you've known this whole time. It's just time. This moment just happens to be the time for you to accept it. So here I come, just just wandering into a TikTok stream, and you just happen to watch it. I'm meaningless in your reality. I can give you no permission. No one can. Nobody can. Same way y'all can do nothing for me. None of you can validate me. None of you. Not a soul walking around. There's not a vessel walking around that can validate me, that can give me permission to be who I am. I have to make that decision. Nobody can withhold love from me. Nobody can make me feel loved. Nobody. It's all me. It's all me. If you want to go no matter what, you must make the decision. The absolute decision that you're going to go no matter what. You must make that decision. And guess what? When your mind says, well, but what about this? You have to say, well, we've already made the fucking decision. The decision is done. We've already made it. Now, let's get uncomfortable. Let's get uncomfortable. Okay? Let's get very uncomfortable. What if tomorrow comes and you don't fucking go, or whenever the fucking trip is, and you don't go? But I waver in doubt. I don't care. You already made the decision. All right. So now, let's say the day comes and goes and you don't go. Now what? I want you to take an honest look at yourself. Matter of fact, I want all of you to take an honest look at yourself. I want you to think about your specific person. I want you to think about your manifestation. And maybe you have a deadline on it. What if that person never, let's say 6 months, a year, 5 years passes, and you don't get that person that you've been manifesting? Let's get triggered together. Everybody sit in a circle, hold hands. Let's sing Kumbaya. What if you don't fucking get it? Now what? Here's the more important question. What does that say about you? Ooh-wee. What does that say about you? You never get it. They never come back. They get married. Kids, someone else. Who are you? Are you still God? Are you still love? Are you still perfect? Are you still prosperity? Or have you placed all of the condition in them? When they show up, you have made them your God. When they show up and things work out, now all of a sudden, you're good. I want you to see, from that perspective, you can't get them. If you believe that if it doesn't happen, now I'm not saying you can't want it. That's not what I'm saying. But if you believe if it doesn't happen, you're not who you say you are, guess what? You have made it conditional anyway, but you're unconditional. God is unconditional. You're still everything that you desire to be. You're still God. You've placed your power in them. And here's the thing, right? When I keep talking about putting yourself on this pedestal, this is such an important topic. Oh, it's such an important topic. And I get it, right? Sometimes we don't want to go there. We want to go to all the manifesting techniques. We want to feel sure. We want to guarantee. I want to say, Alex, no, I want a money back guarantee on my manifestation. I want a money back. God, give me a money back guarantee on my manifestation. That's what we want. But this is what I want to tell you. Okay, this is beyond the logical mind. Even if they don't come back, they're yours. It's beyond the logical mind. This is what no matter what means. Even if the trip passes, even if New Year's passes, right? I have to know the truth still. Even if my mind entertains, well, what if the day comes and it goes? If you can't go there, you are still playing around in the world of mortals, and you have not realized who you are yet. Even a train. That's right. 3 of them. 3 trains. 3 trains with warriors from Wakanda. Okay? You wouldn't deny yourself. That's the point. You wouldn't deny yourself the human experience of having them. Don't misinterpret what I say, right? All right, y'all, let me say this one more time, because I know sometimes, the SP conversation can get very, very emotional. And sometimes you can hear things, you can just be like, oh my God, so triggered that you can't fucking hear what I'm saying. So let me say this again. If you cannot unconditionally accept that you have somebody, even if they never show up, that's not manifestation. You're just hoping. You know what I'm saying? You're just hoping. It has to be unconditional. It has to go beyond logic. Yes, I am in Costa Rica with them. Even if I'm not right now, even if the day passes, I am there. Matter of fact, let me tell you this story. It's one of my favorite manifestation stories. It's not an SP story, but I want you to hear with conviction. I want you to hear the conviction that this God has had. Okay? So I was talking to somebody. We had a session together, right? And she owed some money. She owed over $10,000. Over $10,000. Okay? And in the conversation, the light bulb moment. She was, oh my God, I've been waiting for it, but it was just a choice. I just have to make the choice. She was like, you know what? I make the choice, it's mine. I said, okay, cool. What are you going to do in the meantime? She said, I'm not going to do shit, because if I do anything, it's going to feel like I'm working towards it, and I want to make sure that I remember I already have it. I said, okay, cool. Now, keep in mind, that's not necessary, because when I'm manifesting money out of thin air, I've told y'all with my eviction story, the first time it happened, I was doing a whole bunch of shit. I was trying to borrow money out, but everybody was broke in my reality because I was broke. I had a lack mindset. Okay? So in this situation, she decided, I want y'all to hear what I'm saying. Listen to this, okay? She decided, I have the money. No matter what, it's paid. She was working a regular job, but she wasn't doing anything extra. She said, it's just paid. Fuck it. Okay, cool. When is the date? She said, this is the date. But we started talking about deadlines. She was like, well, you know what? The only way there can be a deadline is if it's not passed. So there's no deadline. Okay, perfect. That's wonderful. So she booked another call with me later on. It was after the deadline. I remember that because I was like, oh, she's going to tell me good news. She booked with me again. So when she booked with me again, she started talking to me and saying, just other things that were going on. I said, okay, cool. Okay, cool. She did not bring up what happened. I said, all right. So eventually I asked, like, hey, you're not going to tell me what happened with this situation? She said, oh, no. Money hasn't shown up in physical reality yet, but it's already paid. I said, okay. She said, yeah, I know the deadline is probably what you're going to ask, right? It's like, yeah. She was like, well, there's no deadline. Deadline's passed, but it doesn't matter anyway because I have the money. It's just not paid. I said, okay, perfect. Okay. So anybody that I work with, I give you a Telegram link to talk to me, right? So afterwards, she sent me a long-ass Telegram message a couple of days later. You know what happened? We actually got on the call. Called her because I had to hear the story in person. This is what happened, okay? She had friends over one night. Friends over, okay? Several friends. Just came over. She was just being. She felt like having people over. She did. She was just being, existing, being God, right? Just knowing she was taken care of. So now, all of her friends leave. She found a lottery ticket. Scratch off. Scratch off lottery. She don't play the lottery, but she found a scratch off. She called all of her friends. Hey, did you leave it? No. Did you leave this? No, it's not mine. Did you leave this? No. No, 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 no's all around. Guys, guess what? You already know how the story ends. When she scratched it, how much money did she win? Over 10K. More than she needed. Now, she didn't play the lottery, yet she won the lottery. Where did the ticket come from? It came from her. It came from her conviction. It came from her conviction, right? Deadline came and went. Didn't matter. It doesn't exist. It's already paid. Yeah, I had doubt. I had doubt the whole time. But I just decided. I kept going back to that decision. Now, when we get into this space, it's very interesting because we tend to think that, these things can happen to other people, but they can't happen to you. I'm here to tell you. Okay, let me tell you this. Nobody is closer to God than you. Nobody's more God than you. There's no ladder of godliness. There's no measuring tape. Nothing. We are all the same. We are all that there is. Some people might be a little bit more conscious of their power, but still, that doesn't mean anything about power. To be aware of it doesn't mean it's more powerful. You're just aware of it a little bit more. So whatever boundaries that you have in your mind about God, about how God can move in your life, about how things can come into your life and be made manifest, eliminate that shit. Eliminate that shit. Whatever logical steps you think you have to go through for $10,000 to show up, eliminate it. Whatever logical process you think you have to go through to get that person into your life, let go of it. You don't know. You have no fucking idea. You have no idea. None of us do. None of us know. But I can tell you this, right? The more that you just exist and you just allow I am to do the work, you remind yourself of who you are and you give yourself permission to exist. You let that human part of you doubt. You let it fear. You let it get happy. You let it believe. You let it doubt. But you just simply go back to the remembrance that I am does the work and I am knows. That is the only process. You are the way. You are the truth. You are the life, right? Nobody gets to the Father except through you, through I am. When you decide who you are, everything rearranges. Everything rearranges. Okay? There are no limits to the God within you. The God within you will move heaven and earth. Will move heaven and earth to make sure that you have what you need. Because this is the nature of the divine. This is the law, and the divine must show up for this law. The law of being, the law of I am is the law. It's a law. God always shows up. You will always receive who you are. Point blank, period. Okay? I'm God, though shit, and I know how things will come. You can do that if you want. Matter of fact, let's entertain that. Let's entertain that. All right? If you want to predict how every single thing in your life will come, does that sound fun to you? Does it sound fun to walk around all day and decide how everything? You can't even see reality. You only see what's going on in this one room. Yet oftentimes we have this arrogance because we lack trust. We lack trust and we try to hide it under logic and say, well, if I'm God, well, shouldn't I know how everything? Sure, go ahead. You can try that. You can do that. You can micromanage your process. You can micromanage your life. I guarantee it won't be as beautiful as this whole divinity, as this creator that creates all of this, just allowing it to flow through you. I guarantee you that it will not be as beautiful as it could be if you try to do that. See, you can do it. You can do it. I just prefer to be surprised, right? And, prefer to be surprised. Allowing it takes away stress. So should I go quiet and just feel I'm in Costa Rica and lay down all day, or let it go? What do you think, Alyssa? What should you do? Based on everything we just talked about, what should you do? It'll work out for you no matter what. Just decide it's gonna work out for you, then do whatever from that point forward, man. Just chill. The part of what I was saying about what if it never happens? I don't know if you want to hear that one. But I'll say it. It will work out even if I don't go. What do you think, Alyssa? All right, this is a great place to stop because your boy is getting tired. All right, I want to make sure that I show up for y'all fully when I'm on when I'm on here, and right now I'm not. So, just to look, like when you make the decision. All right, let me add this one last thing. Okay, let's say that you make a decision that you're in Costa Rica, or that you're with this person, or that you have this money. Once you make that decision, what should you do? It's just a question from the ego to gain control. All right? And the more that you ask, what can you do? The more that's just going to lead to confusion, frustration, doubt, second guessing, resentment, anxiety. You will never be able to answer the question of what you do in a way that just satisfies you. And you're like, you know what? That's right. I got it. You might feel satisfied for a second, but another question will come. The only thing for you to do is decide that you have it. And from there, you just allow whatever to happen be and know that everything is unfolding perfectly for you. That's it. That's just your only job. Your job is not to micromanage. I know what the question is. That it was to reduce anxiety. I know. But that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. The only reason you want to get rid of anxiety is because you think your anxiety is stopping you. That right there is the illusion. I'm not here to tell you about how to get rid of your anxiety. That's your journey. I'm here to tell you that your anxiety doesn't matter. When we take the pressure off of anxiety, and we're like, okay, well, my anxiety is not stopping anything. Once I accept that, now it becomes much more manageable. Now it's much more manageable. But when I think that my anxiety is keeping me from what I want, well, shit, I'm suffering. I'm going to struggle. It's going to be difficult. But it's not keeping you from what you want. All right, beautiful people. Love y'all, and shall talk to y'all very, very soon. And y'all remember that y'all are God. Peace.